So there's a really big story that just came out. This is a colossal breakthrough, if I'm being honest with you guys. Iran and Saudi Arabia just made a peace deal. Shocking. They are generally mortal enemies, man. They really are. So China was the one who brokered it. Let me give you some of the information on it. This is in Vox. Welcome to the post-America moment in the Middle East. U.S. influence has been eroding for decades, from the destructive overreach of the post-9/11 years to the transactional diplomacy of President Donald Trump. Here we are now officially with China brokering a détente deal between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Iran. On Friday, Saudi Arabia and Iran restarted diplomatic relations after 7 years of high tensions and violent exchanges between them. Within 2 months, they will reopen embassies and have both pledged respect for the sovereignty of states and non-interference in their internal affairs. The two countries have been engaged in a proxy war in Yemen over the past 8 years that has calmed down until recently, and have been on opposite sides of conflicts throughout the Middle East in Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq. While normalization may not mean a cessation of violence throughout the region, the pause in outright hostilities between the two should be welcomed by all. The breakthrough builds on several years of talks in Iraq and Oman, and the most interesting dynamic may be that China led the way. This is really something, man. Now, they go on to make the point in the article, like, the U.S. had put itself in a position where there's no way in hell that we were going to be the ones to broker a peace deal. Why? Because we're not neutral when it comes to Saudi Arabia and Iran. We are on Team Saudi Arabia. It's not even close. They are one of our top allies. Iran is one of our top enemies. We had the Iranian nuclear agreement, which, by the way, they were following, as had been verified over a dozen times by the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency. And then Trump got in there, ripped up the deal, and basically spit in their eye. And then Biden ran on, I'm going to get back in it as soon as I'm president. He became president, and he didn't get back in it. And so Iran has no reason whatsoever to trust the word of the United States of America. None. None at all. And so we couldn't be an honest broker. We couldn't be neutral. We couldn't take the concerns of both sides seriously and iron out the provisions of some sort of a peace deal. We couldn't do it. We couldn't do it. And by the way, that is a key sign that you're actually not a global leader anymore. You can't, you're the most powerful, you have all the weapons, you have the most military bases, but instead of trying to be some sort of a neutral arbiter for issues globally, we pick teams. We have sides. If you have a business relationship with us, you're on the good team. If you don't, you're on the bad team. And all of our decisions come, in that vein. And you're never going to be good at being a leader in that scenario. You're just not. You're going to pick favorites. So in the case of China, I guess you could argue on paper that they were closer to Iran, but functionally, they were able to snuggle up to Saudi Arabia at some point within the last however many years, and they were trusted as sort of a neutral arbiter in reducing tensions. So look, here's the more important part of this, which is interesting but also a little scary, is that it looks like China is playing the long game with the Belt and Road Initiative and doing things like this, in the sense that we may be on our way eventually to not having the dollar as the world's reserve currency. And when that happens, whoo boy, is all hell gonna break loose. Oh man. So there's talk about Iran and Saudi Arabia now potentially getting on the BRICS payment system, as it's called, which is the Chinese payment system. This, again, is what Russia ran to after, the U.S. cracked down and sort of expelled them from ours. And so there's a lot, the moves that they're making, they're playing the long game and they're being intelligent. And the U.S., we don't have intelligent leadership. We don't have smart leadership. We don't have people who see the long game. It's just sort of like the blind leading the blind, whether you have the impulsive Donald Trump at the helm or you have Biden, who seems like he's just trying to repair the relationships that he felt like Trump destroyed, but in the process further alienating and isolating people who weren't already on that list. It's a disaster. But overall, look, you have to support the the lessening of tensions between Iran and Saudi Arabia, because it is true, there are proxy wars going on all over the Middle East, which are effectively Iran versus Saudi Arabia. So you have in Syria, for example, Iran backs the Assad regime and Saudi Arabia backs the Sunni rebels. That's one example. In Yemen, you have Iran backing the Houthis, who are the Shias who took over the government there, and you have Saudi Arabia backing the Sunnis who are trying to topple the Houthis. And of course, Saudi Arabia has basically been doing a genocide in Yemen. They killed over 100,000 people in Yemen, and they were, keeping food out of there, and there was famine that was going on. And so my understanding of this deal is that has not been fully addressed. It's not like the war in Yemen is totally coming to a close, but the fact that they're reopening embassies and they're beginning talks, it seems to me, what's one way to get people who normally hate each other to come together? Finding a common enemy. Maybe it's a little too soon to come to this conclusion, but it looks like this may be the beginning of hey, the U.S. is both of our common enemy. So what if we work together? What if we lessened tensions here? This may be the beginning of exactly that, man. It may be the beginning of exactly that. And China is sitting pretty and making all the calculations to set themselves up to be the next world superpower. And the U.S. is very, very clearly on the decline. All right, y'all, that's the show. Thank you, as always, for listening to me babble. I truly, truly appreciate it. I don't know why you do it, but nonetheless, you're here. Do me a big favor and click the like and subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1 million subs. We're getting closer, man. We are climbing, slowly but surely. Get us to that 1 million sub number. We'll do, like a celebratory stream for the 1 million subs, and we'll have some fun with it, and it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it, and I can't wait to get that plaque. That plaque is going to be awesome. So help me get there, man. It's not a foregone conclusion. I actually need to hit that number before we get that plaque, so going to need your help on that front. Anyway, what else I got for you? You can listen to the full show on Spotify now if you'd like, guys. You don't have to go video for video like on YouTube anymore. You can go to Spotify. And much love to everybody who supports this show on Patreon. Link in the video description box below. If you want to give $5 a month or whatever, that's deeply, deeply appreciated. I've never had a conversation with an advertiser, and I never will, because we fund it from, the grassroots and up. Small dollar, baby. That's the only way that feels right for somebody with my politics, and very proud of that fact. I've never talked to an advertiser in over a decade of doing this show. So anyway, please support the show. Thank you for everybody who already does. And I think that's all I got for you, man. I think that's all I got. All right, I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.